And go for it.
We commonly get a comment saying, how much is our shop actually sponsored?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, John. Seems like the bigger you get on YouTube, especially about that 150,000 subscriber mark, the more everybody assumes you just get everything for free. That's not the case, is it?
Not really.
No, not really, but we'll walk them around and we'll take a look. So, if we head inside here, we remodeled the entire garage. We ripped out the second story, we put in reinforcements, and we stuck the 4-post lift in here. The 4-post lift is the first assumption that supposedly I got sponsored, I get all the time. My dad died, I got an inheritance. It wasn't very much. I flipped 2 lawn tractors to have more money, and I bought myself a 4-post lift. Not sponsored. Somebody died for me to have this. Is that a bad joke? Probably shouldn't say it that way. Whatever. Moving on. Hi, John. What's sponsored around you?
This is sponsored, the Vevor bench. HIPAA sponsored us for the toolbox. We also got our work table that we got sponsored for.
What else does HIPAA Carburetor sponsor us for?
Carburetors.
Very good. I was hoping by saying HIPAA Carburetor you might get the cue. Alright, so the workbench is sponsored. The SATA toolkit is not sponsored. I get a lot of people asking how I got a SATA sponsorship. They did not sponsor me at all. This was a Christmas present after I spent 1.5 years trying to get them to sponsor me. So, yeah, the better half paid for that, not a sponsorship.
Also, our back wall drop is also a sponsor.
Yeah, so we ended up with a sponsor for a carport that ended up collapsing about 2 years later, and so we took all the side panels off, and so there's a side panel there. Up there is a side panel off of the carport, and then if I slowly pan around, that right there is actually the front door panel for a carport. So this all comes down and then screws to the sides and then unzips in order to make a wind barrier. Because apparently my door made out of old pallets and the ductwork system out of a 1970s mobile home just it has holes. I don't know any other way to say it. Okay, so the tool cupboard behind you is a sponsored item. Now, when we say sponsored item, we don't get paid to show the viewer the item. We only review based on the reality of the item. We don't make any money, we just get the item. And that's different than a lot of other YouTubers, and it keeps us honest. Like this thing. So, John says that quality not so great. He also wants to know why the itty bitty little tiny wooden knobs are there. And not everything exactly fits into here. But we got it for free. It was sponsored. We're making use of it. Do we think it's worth $75? No. Okay, well, John's opinion is no. My opinion is I don't think it's worth $75. I think I would pay $50 for it just out of the convenience of using it. But yeah, so that's how we do sponsors here. All right, out of the tools you got behind you, what sponsor and what did I buy? Do you know?
Sponsored.
Nope.
Oh, apparently not. Definitely sponsored. Sponsored. No idea.
One Kymo is sponsored, the other one I bought. And this is the last of the surviving skill tools from when we were homeless and we built a cabin. And this is Cece. And Cece has reached out in order to sponsor us. Basically, bluntly, in order to phase out all of the skill stuff. This is a Denali that runs skill batteries. And it's exactly the same as the skill grinder, but it's $20 cheaper. I buy these. Skill sponsored me for these, which then proceeded to eat all 4 of the batteries that they sponsored. But we managed to get them to warranty all 4 of the batteries. And then they all died again. And then I hotwired all of them. So we're phasing skill out. No more battery-powered skill stuff. All right, let's see here. If we come around, what else do we have? We have my toolbox. A lot of the stuff that's in the toolbox is literally just I bought it over the years. I mean, it's hammers, nothing special. All of the old school air tools. Oh, I like Astro for my saber saw. I get asked about that quite often. These saber saws are really hit or miss. I bought this. That's my purchase. For the little grinder things, I like the Work Pros because inevitably these always die. I've bought good quality and I've bought $20 Work Pros, and they all basically seem to last about the same amount, so that's what I own now. Down in here, we've got just the drop-in socket, whatever type, bigger stuff. And all the pullers and random vacuum line junk and pickle forks or whatever you choose to call them in your area. This is a grab bag of electrical wire and stuff. Some more random socketry type things. These are not sponsored, but I sell a ton of these through the Amazon affiliation link on a Briggs & Stratton V-Twin. It uses special little studs, and then what we've ended up discovering is a lot of large diesel engines use this one for the solenoid on starters. So if you don't have a set of those, I would recommend getting them. Just regular grab bag of pliers, all your punch kit and stuff like that. Oh, this was a Christmas present this year, and I really like this. It's just a regular basic Swan Lake brand, which is an Amazon brand, and just a punch kit that I really like. I've used it a couple of times now. Has definitely been worth it. You can't have a New England toolbox without quick steel in it. This stuff is a saving grace in being able to fix all kinds of stuff. I have pinched off brake lines. I have done all kinds of stuff with that. And, you know, your usual there, I threw it up there. Oh, Tekken. That's another brand I have been trying to get sponsored by, but just does not seem to want to talk. Let's see. Viewers sponsored you for the Wen drill press. That worked out really well. You like that. You use it a lot. I bought that. Northern Tool, I've tried multiple times. Cannot get a sponsorship through them. They just don't even answer the emails. All right, what do you got over here?
Bench is sponsored by Vevor.
Yep.
And we got sponsored by a 3D printer.
Yes, we have a... What is it? It's an Artillery Sidewinder version 2, which they actually just phased out. They're now on 3 and 4. But the 3 and 4 don't get very good reviews, which is why we've never tried to get re-sponsored by Artillery. I like the Artillery Sidewinder 2, but it's got quirks. It's not as good as it could have been. This was Temu. Temu sponsored us for a bunch of different tools. John got sponsored by Jet Drill Bits, and these have been really, really good. I don't know if they have the logo on the case. Yeah, right there. Jeff Hex. Sorry, not Jet. Jeff Hex Drill Bits. And these have been really, really good. You know I'm going to take some flack, but honestly, I'm probably going to buy these instead of the DeWalt's on the next round.
OMB Warehouse has sponsored us.
Nope. OMB Warehouse has not sponsored us.
I thought they did.
No, I've tried to get OMB Warehouse to sponsor us because OMB Warehouse was the only place I could find when we were drag racing that sold the Coleman rear 8-inch rims. They sold the rims with the drum and everything at a decent price with bearings. I did try to reach out with them. On the good point, OMB Warehouse has been very good to talk to as a YouTuber to get information. The one that we are sponsored by, which is, the only logo I have is upside down. We don't exactly get sponsored by NR Racing, but we do get discount purchasing rights through them. And so that's been great to work with. They're a really good racing company. Let's see. If we look behind here, the diesel was sponsored from Ally Express. We're going to be working more with that.
And up top here, we have been sponsored by a couple other things like Duramax back here.
Let's talk on Duramax while we're here. So everybody seems to assume that all of my Duramax engines are sponsored, and they're not. Probably about 50-50 is sponsored. So Duramax sponsored us in order to do teardown and investigation builds so that people that used Google, haha, I made a funny there. Nobody's apparently smart enough to use Google anymore. People that actually did their research, no, that doesn't work either. Well, anyways, so Duramax sponsored probably about 50% of the engines for us to do that, which has worked out good. That one's left over from the Oxy Earth mini bike, right?
Yes, which is a really nice mini bike for a kid to have.
Yeah, I think their rating of being good for 180 pounds, though, is a lie.
It is.
It's drastically a lie. Yeah, they're good for about 120 pounds or so, but after that, the clutch just can't take it. Ironically, it's not the 100cc engine that's the failure on those. It's that stupid clutch that they put on. So John's been sponsored for an Oxy Earth mini bike, a FP something or other, I don't know, mini bike off of Amazon. And then, yeah, I think that's it on the mini bike stuff.
Yeah.
You had the internals on your engine for the go-kart sponsored.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, Ally Express paid for John's engine to get a hop-up kit. And let's see. Failed sponsorships. Yes Welder. Yes Welder, they can go bugger off. I refuse to deal with them. They sent me that unit probably, I don't know, probably 6 years or so ago now. And I still get an email from them once a year asking whether I want a sponsorship after I told them they could bugger off. They sent me a welder knowing that all we do is flux core welding, and then get mad that their welder falsely advertised that it could do the flux core welding. Yeah, high quality sponsorship. All right, let's see. Let's look on the other side of the shop. What do we got going on over here? Let's see. Heating. This was a sponsor. This was because they saw John in a video cold and decided to reach out in order to sponsor us. All of the red carts that you see bouncing around the shop are sponsorships of some sort. And yet again, we only take these, the red cart there, the red cart there. I actually gave away one of them because it was so horrifying I didn't even want it in video. But we only take stuff if we get it for free, we don't get paid, and we get to say exactly what we think about it.
We also, back here, there's the Oxy Earth diesel heater, and a Vevor air compressor hose thing.
While we're here, let's talk about Vevor. So a lot of people have asked what's up with the Vevor sponsorship. Vevor, when they first came into the US market, they sponsored us for a ton of stuff. They were great to work with. Were being keyword there. Vevor, I don't know, probably about a year into working with Vevor, all of a sudden they would send me an email and they would say, hey, can you try this item for us? And I would get the item and I would try it and I would send them back an email saying, this is what I think about it. This is what I would fix or change or modify. And then I would get back another email saying, well, yeah, but where the hell's the video? Well, try it out and see what you think is not the same as, hey, can you make a video on this thing? And we went back and forth. And then they started just randomly sending me stuff without me even asking. Like, I didn't even ask for some of the stuff that showed up. I gave away a spot welder that I never asked for. I gave away a hydraulic punch set that I never asked for. They sent me an inch-pound settable screwdriver. Who in the world needs an inch-pound torque set screwdriver? Why would you even have that? So yeah, Vevor doesn't sponsor us anymore because basically I told them that they were manipulative and I wasn't going to play that game. So that is great. But Vevor as a company did not work out very well for us after about a year. They were great the first year. After that, well, we got past the Twitter pated side and we figured out that they like to go and leave their toothbrush out in weird places. So that one's a hackery, and those actually work really good. As much as Vevor screwed us over and did stupid stuff, the Vevor ones are great for the diesel heaters.
And also we got Redodo.
Yep, Redodo, something. I can never pronounce whatever their name is. They've sent me a couple of audio clips on how to pronounce it, and I still can't do it. And then Bogue RV just started sponsoring us for videos. We may or may not actually work with them on a couple of other things. That's been great. Cleaning supplies and paints. Everybody assumes that all of this is potentially sponsored. The answer is not a single bit of this wall is sponsored. There is nothing up there that has ever been sponsored. I have tried to get Total Boat to come in and sponsor. They will not. I have tried to get Oshfo to sponsor. They do not. I've tried to get Rust-Oleum to sponsor. They have not. I've reached out to SQ, who is a made in Florida American company, to try and show them off. And they don't want to sponsor. None of those companies ever answer the emails. So everything you see is non-sponsored, except for the one thing John's about to hold up.
Which is Super Clean, which we got sponsored 3 years ago.
Yeah. Super Clean will literally sponsor anybody on YouTube. So if you ever see Super Clean, there is a good chance that the person ended up getting a big box that had a whole bunch of randomized Super Clean in it and was not what they discussed in the email.
Like hats and shirts?
Yeah, we ended up with hats, shirts. We ended up with glorified cat litter while we were working on a dirt area. They sent us some sort of weird fabric cleaner when we were working on lawn tractor engines. Like, yeah, they're a really weird sponsor to work with. Hitbox. So, Hitbox sponsored. I bought it myself, my own tax money, based on what you guys said in the comment section I should buy. And this was awesome. This Easy Weld 140 Forne, totally worth buying. It is not as good as this Hitbox welder, but it is way better than any of those little crummy $100 welders. Free sponsor. Let me see here. Yep, another Vevor. That was for John.
And this company is really nice with the drill. Just only bad thing about them is when they're in reverse, it goes, and your finger is still on the trigger. So you gotta kind of like double tap it to get the bullet finally all the way out.
And I'm going to address the comment section about that. That reverse function is programmable on higher end tools. It is not on that. I have emailed the company twice. The first email, they basically told me I had no idea what the hell I was talking about. And then the second email, I got a hold of an Abu Dhabi tech person that said, oh, we no do that. So yeah, that's the way it is sometimes. Let me see. Greenworks. This is a sponsorship. Greenworks there is a sponsorship. One of those grinders is sponsored by Skill. The other one is not.
And a Vevor vise.
This vise from Vevor is a bi-directional vise that is absolutely amazing. I actually fully think this is great. They're expensive for a lower end vise. They're like 160 if I remember right, but it's giant. Like this is bigger than a $1 bill in surface area to work with. Plus it's got the anvil on the back. It's a really good unit after you super glue the jaws on because the screws suck. But, you know,
Also,
what do you expect?
That bike is sponsored by AliExpress.
The engine was sponsored by AliExpress.
And then our laser cutter was sponsored.
Yep. And even though we have the name Redneck Computer Geek, everybody assumes I get computer sponsors of stuff. No. We're back to the dead father, dead grandfather thing here. This is my dad's original computer that we're using to run this setup. Yes?
We also got sponsored by this company.
EcoFlow. And this has actually worked out good. That's an EcoFlow Delta 2 that, and if you get, as a YouTuber, if you get the chance to be sponsored by EcoFlow, I 900% say go for it. Because I sent EcoFlow a email, which basically was, I will do all kinds of things to this and I will try to kill it. Are you sure? And their response was, go for it. Just make sure you film all of it so that we know what killed it. Sold. That company has been really good to work with. I thoroughly am very glad that we worked with them. It'll run a 110 small $100 welder, but it'll only run it at about 50%. So you got to be reasonable. It is what it is. But 50% of welding, if you're out in the middle of a snowstorm and your extension cord does not reach 600 feet down the driveway, is a lot better than zero. The MechPow was a sponsored item. That was one of my Chinesium, this will be cool to learn on things that, well, I don't know. I don't necessarily regret working with MechPow because that's how we ended up in the Creality. But yeah, that was not what it should have been. I got conned on that one. Yeah?
We also got sponsored by Best Arc.
Best Arc, which is actually technically our second Best Arc we got sponsored. So we actually had a non-pilot arc Best Arc that I ended up trading for something. I don't remember. All I know is that it was overly fancy and didn't quite work for what I wanted, so I traded it.
And we got sponsored by Vevor, I think.
Yep, that's Vevor's seat there, which again was one of those like, why in the hell is this $100 type videos?
I mean, it's comfy, but
it's not $100 worth of comfy.
yeah.
Yeah. And the piston never actually fit in the bottom of it, so it actually pops out when you go to pick it up and run around the shop. We keep meaning to glue it in place, but we always forget.
And then my work area, the Dremel was not sponsored, actually, never mind.
This is sponsored by Temu. That was part of the Temu deal. That's my old table from when I started YouTube. The little micro vise is from Temu sponsorship. I think you've got a couple of other things kicking around there, small little items from the Temu sponsorship. Oh, yes. Loki Thor. Loki Thor has sponsored us going on probably close to 5 years now. Actually, you should leave that out. We'll probably use that to pump the Monte Carlo's tires up. Loki Thor has been an awesome company to work with as a sponsor. Sponsorships for booster packs. Let's see. Loki Thor totally would do again, without question. JF Iguwugwa Wagwabu, whatever this company is, without question, that does these. 900%. If you get offered to get sponsored by them, take it. These are awesome. This is awesome. The original real Hulkman company is awesome. Anything that looks like a Hulkman that is a knockoff, you want to avoid like the plague. They all suck because they're knockoffs of the really good Hulkman. Power Run, I believe, is the other company, if I remember right. Yes, Power Run, sorry. Power Run, very, very good company to work with on the lower end booster packs. Avapow is another one that was really good to work with. I actually fried 3 different Avapows, and they proceeded to just keep sending me upgraded models. Same with this. The original 2000 cranking amp model, I actually fried the first 2 that I had off camera and found a defect that was in them. And so they sent me every single one after that in order to test and use in the junkyard, which is why this company will always be the king of junkyard booster packs. It's an air compressor and is a no regulation, whatever, I'm going to start it. None of this dumb click solenoid junk. When you hook it up, you better be hooking it up correctly. Oh, well, John, I'd say at 28 minutes, 27 minutes worth of us talking about the shop and what's sponsored, what's not sponsored, I'd say they've got a pretty good idea.
Yep.
The real reality is, as a 150,000 subscriber YouTuber, 149,620 something this morning, some of you need to subscribe. Just get that 150,000 out of there, will you?
It's pretty irritating.
It is aggravating as all get out to be sitting right there within like 200 or 300 on a regular basis. Anyways, rant over. Where, I don't know. I'd say probably 50% to 40% of the shop is sponsored, depending on how you want to look at it. Almost all of your benches, your welders, your impacts, grinders, all of that is sponsored, but the real nickel and dime, keep it running things are not. Brake cleaner, not sponsored. Hint, hint. Paint, not sponsored. Hint, hint. Body stuff, not sponsored. Hint, hint. I buy or junkyard all of the metal for every single project. Hint, hint. Yeah. Tabletop covers in order to make them look better at $1 a piece. Not sponsored. And so every time John messes one up being stupid or grinding something across the top of it, I growl at him.
You weld.
Or I weld and I catch it on fire and then it doesn't look so good anymore. But yeah, okay, that's enough babbling. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.